Welcome to this webinar, this chat, and with my guest this time is Jennifer Vessels. She's a CEO of Next Step Growth, public speaker. She's an American, but now she's relocated to Norway. And maybe, are you in Norway now, by the way, or?
I am here in lovely Lillestrøm, just outside of Oslo.
Oh, Lillestrøm. All right. Well, welcome, Jennifer. I'm glad you took the time to chat with us a little bit this Tuesday evening. So, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I'm originally from Silicon Valley and have had the great pleasure and honor of building the international business for a number of technology companies. And my first company, Ungerman Bass, in telecommunications networking, I was able to come over to Europe and was based in Belgium and the UK, building the international channel sales marketing for that company. That's when I was recruited by Tandberg, the video company. This was one of the early leaders in video conferencing. Came to Oslo and lived in Oslo for 3.5, give or take, years, building Tandberg's international business across Europe, the UK, and then we launched in the US, Tandberg US. It was part of my bailiwick. I went back to Silicon Valley. We had a very lucrative and nice sale and integration with Cisco, after which I decided that I had really seen a lot of what worked extremely well, including with Tandberg, one of the best led companies I think I've ever worked with, as well as some things that hadn't worked so good in other companies I was exposed to. So built a team of people that were all about how do we grow, how do we change, how do we develop people in organizations, and that ultimately became Next Step. And over the last 15, 20 years, we've worked with tech companies, Microsoft, Adobe, Autodesk, Cisco, where we've done a lot of digital and business model transformation. For example, with Adobe, from software to services. And we've really perfected, in a way, a model of how to change, how to shift mindset, business, go to market, leadership, and culture for the future. And thanks to COVID, when I happened to be in Oslo, where I had bought an apartment some time ago to have as a camping place, happened to be here at the beginning of COVID, realized this is a pretty good place to be, not just in a pandemic, but also in general. And so am now working towards permanent residency and ultimately dual citizenship between Norway and Silicon Valley. So that's what leads me to being here today on a Tuesday in cold, dark November.
Yeah. Oh, that I wasn't actually aware that you worked at Tonberg. I
Yeah.
know a lot of, and some people know Tonberg. They were one of the big companies, and I remember them mostly because my parents had this big stereo from Tonberg with this really huge teak or something speakers, and it was really a nice. They were a really nice company, and also I remember when I was doing my military service, I think we used some Tonberg computers there, so they were also like early in the computer game. So very
Agree.
interesting company. It's interesting that you've been working there, and
And many times I've been asked by taxi drivers or other people, where can I get a knob for that old stereo that my parents had in the 1940s? Can't help with that,
no,
but
no, but that was a very exciting company. And I actually was I was living in the U.S. in the 70s, and my brother got born in the USA, so he actually has now a dual citizenship, both Norwegian and American. So he
Very good.
can yeah, he can vote in the next
We need
presidential
more.
election. Yeah. Okay. So I have some prepared some questions for you. So the first
Yes.
is that is digital transformation still relevant, or is there more digital transformation to be done? Aren't we done yet with the digital transformations?
It depends on how you define digital transformation. I mean, personally, I believe we as a global society in all industries, all geos, we are truly at the brink of a whole new world and a whole new way of living, working, transacting, and being that is emerging as we speak. And that's driven partly by technology, the onset of Gen AI, which is really driving artificial intelligence in a broad way. A lot of the high performance computing, think things like GPUs that are used to power the AI. That's simply a way of speeding and developing more powerful compute power, things such as quantum computing. That's very much on the horizon. So, in many respects, as we go into 2026 and moving into the 2030s, I believe if we've been growing at a level of digital transformation at this rate, it's going to go straight hockey stick up a lot faster and a lot more powerful than what we've ever seen.
Hmm.
So I think we're really just at the beginning of a true global transformation of society, including and heavily powered by digital. It's not
Hmm.
just digital, but that's a lot of the power behind that engine.
Hmm. I uh, I want to ask you a question that's
Yeah.
not in the script. So one of my older colleagues came into my office in one day with a stack of old Playboy magazines. So he felt like a dirty old man when he found them in his garage, and he gave them to me. And then I think this the December issue of 1968. There's an article about AI
Oh,
actually. Yes,
interesting.
and it's written by Arthur C. Clarke, the science fiction
Mhm.
novelist. And the heading of that piece is um, sometime in the foreseeable future, man will be blessed with a life without work. So
Really?
yeah, and he said that, and the reason for that is that all the AI and all the supercomputers, they will do all the work for us, and then we can just kick back and have fun. So this was in 1968. So what do you think? What do you think? Will we ever get to a place where we we have a life without work?
Well, Elon Musk seems to believe that that's coming in 2026. So it's
Yeah.
very interesting that somebody quoted that in Playboy magazine in 1969. Um, I believe that technology, supercomputers, AI, etc., will fundamentally change the concept of work. And now, if I go back a little bit, kind of again off script, of my fundamental views, and I've seen this play out in lots of industries, over the last 150 years, we, everywhere in the world, have been operating basically in an industrial age mode. I mean, if we think back to 160 years ago, especially here in Norway, that people lived on their farm. People were part of the community. They worked their farm. They went fishing, they went hunting, they planted things, they built things. there wasn't this concept of work-life balance, go somewhere and leave at 3 o'clock. I mean, it was an integrated part of society. And,
Mm.
and people were proud of that and felt good about it, and it was part of the community. And
Mm.
then suddenly, somewhere in the planet, there was this concept of steam power and engines and factories, and people everywhere moved away from that very humane way of working to go to work
Yeah.
and go at certain hours because you were on a factory floor, so you had to put things in because people were coming after you.
Mm.
And then the more things you put in and the more things you built, the higher up you went and the more money you made, at least
Mm.
in America. I mean, you could rise to being the king and you could build a big house and a big car. And then you went into the white collar workers and you had bigger stuff and you bought more stuff and more capitalism. And that, to me, in the last 10, 15, 20 years, that's what's killing our planet and killing our brains and killing our society. This concept of work is
Mm.
somewhere that you go and things you have to do, and then you leave it, and then you have a life.
Yeah.
That's what I believe is just completely fundamentally wrong. And hence, thanks to automation, as we saw during the pandemic, people didn't have to go anywhere to work. We
Mm.
can work from wherever we are and sometimes be more productive and be able to spend quality time with our family
Mm.
instead of this going and coming and going and coming.
Mm.
And so, as AI becomes more powerful and robotics becomes a part of our lives, I believe we will change back in ways to that concept of being in a place we want to be. Our activities during a day will be centered around what is my purpose? What am I trying to achieve in life? And I will do some things for which I earn money. Maybe that's a portfolio career. You can have side gigs, you can have projects, you can take things from LinkedIn, you can do things that earn money, you can do things and give back, you can do things with your family that's much more
Mm.
humane and gets away from the capitalism of we have to run, buy, build, throw things away, buy more things.
Mm.
So that's a complete tangent that I just
Yeah,
went
yeah,
off
yeah.
on. But I do believe that work as we've known it for the last 50 years must change, and technology will allow us to do that.
Yeah. So how will companies or how can companies start this process with digital transformation
Yeah.
so we can get to better lives for everyone?
So I think some companies are on that progression. Like I said, we've worked with Adobe over the last 15 years, and they have really moved heavily in that process from we build software and we sell it to people to we enable creativity for all, and we do it through an integrated process. I mean, there's still a long way to go in that regard. But where it really starts, I believe, is from the leadership. And things do still start from the top, if you will, and roll down.
Mm.
But it starts from the leadership recognizing that business as usual, in my words, kind of that industrial mindset, business as usual, is really obsolete.
Mm.
It served us well and got us as a society here, but there's new ways of doing things. And the best approach to recognizing there could be a different way is for people, leaders and others in the company, to sometimes take a step back
Mm.
out of the fray and out of the flurry and out of the we must meet KPIs, we must build better results, we must do. Take a step back and really think about what is our purpose? What is our mission?
Mm.
What are we as an organization trying to do? And once you find that out, then explore if that's our mission, how might we get there? I mean, for example, back to Adobe, just to give a tangible example. In the 2008 great financial crisis, when people were not willing to pay money for upgrades of software, they were laying off people. They're not going to buy new software. There were new technologies coming out. The iPad was coming out. There were new ways of doing things. Shantanu Naren, the CEO, took that step back and said, hey, we're not in the business to sell software. Our purpose is to enable creativity. We've been doing it through building and selling software, but
Mm.
maybe there's a better way.
Mm.
And was very open to exploring how can new technologies, agile development tools, other ways of developing, how could they help us to provide services? Maybe instead of packaging things, we put them in a cloud and we use technology to continually refresh that cloud and to analyze how people use that cloud. And then we go off and we explore how might people pay us something to use our cloud. Maybe it's by feature, maybe it's by month. And so once you decide you want to shift and you know what you're trying to get to, the purpose, then explore how might we go about it. And
Mm.
chances are today, technology is one of the answers to that how.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So it's taking a step back and seeing what we really are or what we really want to be, and then to see if and then be familiar enough with how technology works to see which technologies could work for us in getting us where we want to. Is that
Exactly.
yeah?
That's
Hmm.
much better than the mistake I see many companies making, especially today with AI, is for the leaders or people in the company to start with the digital transformation, start with the technology. I think I was sharing with you, Tanisha, last week, one of our other clients, a industrial company based in South Africa. I met them 2 years ago at a conference. After I did a keynote, they asked me to review their digitalization strategy. We're going to transform, we're going to go digital. I reviewed it. This was in like 2022. Reviewed it, gave them some feedback. They said thank you, never heard back from them. 18 months later in 2024, they reached out and said, hey, we've made some progress with our digitalization and our transformation. Would you mind to just review our updated strategy? And when they sent it to me, I went through it and then I immediately called and I said, well, I think this is the wrong file because it looks the same as what I reviewed before with just a few changes. And that was the right file. They had brought in Deloitte. They had spent probably millions of rand on a digitalization strategy, starting from IT down, and gotten hardly anywhere. So we shifted that. We said, great, let's put that aside. Now let's get a small team, a small, I call it tiger team, of 3 to 10 people from the business, not maybe one person from IT, but the rest all from the business units. Let's get them together and let's define some business problems or challenges. And for each of those problems and challenges, we will then have a structure through which you go off and explore for each business problem. And we chose 3 problems. Each of these 3 business problems, explore how technology might help you address the problem.
Hmm.
Within 9 months, they've made way more progress in becoming digitalized based upon the business issues than they had in 2 years based upon a digital transformation. So start with the business issue, start with the purpose. What are we trying to achieve here?
Hmm.
Then look at what are the right technologies, whether it's AI, whether it's virtual reality, whatever it is, the right way to achieve the problem, to achieve the result, the solution to the problem, as opposed to starting with the tech.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of people forget that they maybe just now we're gonna buy licenses for Copilot to everyone, and
Yep.
now and then we can tell on the next business dinner that we are now an AI company.
Exactly. And
Like
that goes nowhere.
yeah, so the problem first, and then technology that solves real problems. That's a good thing to remember if you're trying to do digital transformation or digitalization. So you have, I know you have a framework that you use. So can you tell us about
Yep.
the framework and the different parts of the framework for digital transformation or for transforming the company?
Yes, so it works in all cases, whether it's how do we use AI to how do we solve business problems to how do we shift our way of being. And it starts with purpose. So the framework is PEACE, and the P is purpose. What are we trying to achieve? What is the mission of the company? Why are we here? Or what is the problem we're trying to solve? So
Mm,
start there. And once you align, because the core team needs to align on that problem. Once you align on one problem, start with one, then explore openly and broadly all of the different ways that you as a company and a team can solve that one problem. So narrow it down to one problem, explore openly. And it could be, do we use Copilot? Do we use Gemini? Do we use Claude? Do we use a totally different platform in virtual reality? Do we use digital twins? What are the options? Set a time frame for that exploration. It's not for the next 5 years, because trust me, in 5 minutes, sometimes the technology changes.
mm,
So set a time frame. You start with that little tiger team that defines and aligns on the problem, then assign everybody on that tiger team something to go out and explore in the next 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks at most, and come back together and share what you explored and choose 2 or 3 of those things and take action and try it. Because the best way to determine, is Copilot going to be the right platform for us versus Claude? Don't know. Johnny's going to try Copilot. Sarah's going to try Claude for a month. And when you take action, small steps. This is not double down on Copilot for everybody across the company for hundreds of thousands of kroners. Start small for a limited period and try 2 or 3 different things. That's the action, PEA, and then C, collaborate. So if you have three people working on this one problem. One tries this tool, one tries that tool, one tries that tool. Come together, compare. What did Claude do versus Copilot? How did that compare to what somebody did in Word in a virtual reality world? Compare, analyze, sometimes go back to exploring. If none of them solve the problem, that's okay. You're only 2 months into this journey. Go back and explore other ways and start the process again. Once you get to that collaboration where you see one or two things seem to be working to solve the problem, achieve the purpose, then double down, as we say, and empower others to use those tools. Be open. Here's the problem. Here's the way we've used it. Here's the recommendations on how you might explore and expand this in your department, and let people go off and take it forward. So it's P as in purpose, E explore, A action, C collaboration, and E empowerment. And I will send you a simple little cheat sheet, if you will, after
Yeah.
our session here.
Yes. Good. So, that's I was going to say that sounds simple enough. But even though it's obviously it's not, it's probably anything but simple. But what are the common pitfalls people meet, or people go in when they start digitalization process, or change process, even more generally?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially today, one of the biggest pitfalls I see everywhere is that there are just so many incoming messages, communications, new tools. You must do this, you must do that. It's so easy to lose sight of the purpose and get entrenched by a shiny new coin and go off and spend time, money, and energy in something that is misaligned with your problem just because it sounds cool. So
Mm,
that's kind of back to that starting with the technology or the cool idea or somebody else's views. Starting with that doesn't work. Stay true to your purpose. That's one of the biggest things I would suggest.
mm. Yes. I don't know how much you know about finance organizations, but do you have any practical advice for people who work in the finance industry? So it's a
Yeah,
tech heavy industry, and a lot of stuff is happening there.
I think there's a couple of things in some of the finance organizations we work with. One is to the positive, finance people tend to be very analytical. And that's good because that hopefully means that in your organizations, there is a good amount of structured and usable data that can be leveraged with AI, because the power of AI and digital tools is all contingent upon what it said. I mean, garbage in, garbage out. So
Mm,
if you have good analytics of past history, performance indicators, statistics about the future, the AI tool can very rapidly and effectively do predictive analysis, can do advanced proactive recognition of trends and patterns, things like fraud protection, things like cash management, things like trends in different currencies and fluctuations in the markets. Technology is great at doing those things based upon having the structured data. But again, back to starting with what do we really want to analyze and what do we really want to learn, and how can we select the right tool, the right prompts, and the right usage of that tool in order to get to that point. So I think finance is one of the areas that is best primed to
Hmm.
really succeed, but do it small and do it purposefully.
Hmm. I,
Be sure to include people. I mean, that's the
yeah.
other thing I'll just kind of throw out there, that as much as I am a huge fan of what technology can allow for us, it is technology powering people.
Hmm.
The people and the brain and the mind and the critical thinking, not only about what you're asking of it, but the critical thinking about what it gives is so very important. So I don't see technology ever replacing people at all. I see technology enhancing the value of people and amplifying what each of us as humans can do.
Hmm. So, I have we're running out of time. This is very interesting. Um, lastly, I just want to maybe we could briefly discuss two
Yeah.
things. If you're an employee in one of these organizations that are being hit with all the changes in technology, which is, I guess, every organization, um, how can you best participate in driving the company forwards? And also, my second part of the question is, how can you find your place in a tech-driven world?
Yeah. So let's start with the second part of the question
Yeah.
first. I do believe that not only leaders in companies, the CXOs, have a purpose and the company has a purpose. I believe that each of us as individuals have a purpose. I mean, something we're passionate about achieving in this lifetime. And so the best way to look at 2026 and what it brings for you and how you will play with technology is really think about, what do each of you want to achieve? What is your purpose? What is your passion? And where do you excel? And the other side of that is, what are the things that maybe you're not so very good at? I mean, personally, I believe my purpose is to enhance the success of other people in businesses around the world. And I'm pretty good at speaking, collaborating, connecting people, thinking out of the box, and encouraging others to do so. I'm not very good at finance, to be perfectly honest. I'm not very good at details and organization. So, in order to achieve my purpose, I want to leverage the technology because it's much better at doing that than I ever will be.
Hmm.
So, for people today, I would encourage to think about, what do each of you really want to achieve? What are you good at? What are your weak spots? And explore, back to that exploring. What are the technologies that can best fill in those things I'm not so good at, that will allow me to shift further into achieving my purpose? Whether that's continuing in a, as we in Silicon Valley would call it, a 9 to 5 day job, or maybe it's doing a collaboration with other people, or maybe it's doing a little bit of both, or maybe it's being a board member. What's going to help you to achieve your purpose, whatever that structure might look like?
Hmm.
And to just be willing to think out of the box.
Hmm.
There's so many opportunities in Norway. It just, I mean, I think you all are so fortunate to be in this country where you can't fail.
I, I think you kind of answered both questions at the same time. Because
Yeah, I was
also
trying to
to
remember the first part of it.
how you can participate as an individual at the workplace and add value. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking if you can find your purpose at work,
Yeah.
you will also be able to have it- a good starting point to explore technology that could help you reach your purpose at work. And that could be like getting people from different parts of the organization to collaborate together on projects, or it could be to go deeper into customer knowledge and find out more about your customers and use technology to make better products. Um, I think I think that's pretty good advice. So I think
Just
that's
lean in, as we say. Lean in and try
yeah.
it in
I think
small doses. Don't go all out, but just try different things.
yeah. All right. I think that's a good way to end this this segment. That go find your purpose. Explore technology that can help you do the things that you're not too good at, and create value for yourself and your employer at the same time, and also meaning for yourself.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
meaningful to have a purpose. Yes, that's good. Do you have any last words? Um,
Yes. The only thing I would really reiterate is that I see this as such a huge opportunity. I mean, I really believe that there's a whole new world that is rapidly emerging, and especially here in Norway, it's just fabulous option because it's a safe, rich country that you can't fail. I mean, what's the worst that could happen when you try something different? The worst that can happen is it may not work and you may need to rethink. But that's not a bad thing. It's a new world. So
mm,
just try things.
yeah,
Don't be afraid. Let go of the fear.
yeah. Let's go with the fair. Thank you. Thank you so much.